Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie, and there's only 2 more episodes of Game of Thrones this season. And since we spent so much of the hiatus doing theory crafting, I wanted to do a bonus video for all my favorite prophecies. So I'm just including things that are considered actual prophecies. So, if Tyrion had a wine-soaked nightmare about being forcibly married to the mountain as a result of losing the trial by combat, that would not be a prophecy. So there are over 50 that I know of on the show. These are going to be my top 5. I can always do another video with a bunch more later this summer though, because there are a ton of them. Don't forget, a new round of the giveaway will start whenever I post my episode 9 review tonight. I'll just be picking a random subscriber from the comments. It's not a contest or anything. It's just my way of saying thank you to all you guys for being so awesome. So, time for some theory crafting. For all these prophecies, I'm going to say who it's about, as well as where you can find them in the books if you want to read the full thing, because a lot of these will be condensed. So here we go. Number 5, Maggie the Frog. So Cersei casually mentions her name on the show out of context, and it's a little confusing, but in the books, Maggie was a fortune teller in Lannisport that Cersei visited when she was 10 with 2 of her childhood friends. It was all while this big tournament for King Aerys was going on, the Mad King. So Maggie let Cersei ask her 3 questions, but she gave her 4 answers. She predicted who Cersei would marry, Robert, not Rhaegar, who had actually just been knighted. Rhaegar, that is. He was about 7 years older than Cersei. Maggie predicted that Cersei would eventually become queen, but that a younger, more beautiful queen would come along and take everything that she held dear. The theories behind this are that the younger queen is either Margaery or Daenerys. In the books, Margaery isn't supposed to be more beautiful than Cersei, but because of the Purple Wedding and Cersei's suggestion that she marry Tommen, it's still a pretty even guess as to who that younger, more beautiful queen is. Maggie then went on to predict the total number of children that both Robert and she would have, separately, obviously because Robert had a ton of bastards. Shout out for Gendry, who's still floating out there somewhere south of Dragonstone. The important thing to remember is that she specifically predicted the living number of Cersei's children. She did have a stillborn child with Robert. Maggie didn't say she would lose a child, but she did predict the total number, and her 3 plus Robert's bastards hit that total number. I won't say what the actual total number of Robert's bastards is, just in case the show changes something. There was one more big part that relates to the Valonqar, which is the High Valyrian word for little brother, which is obviously Tyrion, but I'm not going to include that in this video just in case it's kind of spoilery. If you want to read the whole prophecy, it's in Feast for Crows pages 540 to 541. Number 4, the Winged Snake. This is one of Bran's visions at the end of Book 2. In it, his eyes are clouded with smoke and ash, and he sees a winged snake breathing a river of flame in the sky rising from Winterfell. Because of the timing and when this vision occurred, a lot of people take the smoke and ash to mean the burning of Winterfell, like we see in the opening credits every week. As for the dragon, there's a couple of theories. The craziest is that there is a dragon underneath Winterfell that has just laid dormant forever, and the destruction of Winterfell woke it. There are hot springs beneath Winterfell, so it's possible, but not probable. The other theory is that it's just more evidence for Jon Snow being a Targaryen, in that he is the dragon rising from Winterfell. It's open to interpretation, but as a tangent, Jojen claims that visions can be wrong, but green sight is not, and Bran and Jojen are both supposed to have the power of green sight, which implies that all of Bran's visions are much closer to the truth than other characters. Of course, Jojen could also be misinterpreting his claim about green sight, but you can read it in Book 2, page 699. Number 3, Azor Ahai. This prophecy comes from Melisandre, and it's always mentioned in the same sentence with the sword Lightbringer, but Azor and Lightbringer are actually 2 separate prophecies. Azor Ahai is like the promised chosen one, the one that's supposed to lead the army of the Red God against the White Walkers and the Great Other. The text of the prophecy literally reads, "When the red star bleeds and darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again amid smoke and salt." The red star represents the comet which we saw at the very end of season 1. The darkness gathering is a reference to the coming battle with the Great Other, like the Long Night, the last great battle with the White Walkers. I'll have a link to that video in the description if you want to learn more about it. Melisandre tells Stannis that he is Azor Ahai because they're on Dragonstone, the place of smoke and salt, but alternatively, that person could be Daenerys, who was literally born as a child at Dragonstone. For anyone who hasn't read the books, Dragonstone is the ancestral Westerosi-based home of the Targaryens. Obviously, they really came from the Valyrian Freehold, but you understand my meaning. We should also remember that Azor Ahai is a person that has to be reborn, so if you want to think about Daenerys as Azor Ahai, you have to look at that scene from season 1 wherever she stepped into Drogo's funeral pyre and emerged with the dragons. That was when the comet first appeared. She wept salt tears, you get the smoke from Drogo's flames, and she was reborn as the Mother of Dragons. It doesn't guarantee that she's Azor Ahai, but it makes a really strong case in case you ever wanted to argue with your friends. If you want to read it in the books, it's book 3, page 289. Number 2, The Daughter of Death. This is a Daenerys prophecy from the House of the Undying, and because there were so many prophecies that came out of that, I'm just going to condense a lot of these. So the title of this prophecy, Daughter of Death, comes from the passage that reads, Mother of Dragons, comma, Daughter of Death. So the first part of this is where Daenerys is seeing the deaths of a lot of people close to her, including her brother Rhaegar. She sees him uttering his dying words. Robert killed him at the Ruby Ford in the Trident. We don't actually know what the last words were, but the prophecy said that he did whisper a woman's name, the best theory being Lyanna Stark. If Robert heard him saying it, it's not something he would have ever told anyone, since he was in love with Lyanna himself. Then Daenerys had a vision of Lightbringer, the mythical sword of Azor Ahai, the flaming sword, but it was being held by a blue-eyed king that casts no shadow. Yes, it sounds a lot like the White Walker we saw at the end of episode 4, but the stronger theory, I think, is that it represented the shadow baby that killed Renly, since that was happening around the same time that Daenerys was having these visions. It also suggests that Stannis and Daenerys might meet at some point in the future, for better or worse. There are a lot of potentially spoilery parts to our visions that relate to the Mummer's Dragon and the Stone Dragon, so I'm just going to skip over those. Please, if you're a book reader, use the spoiler tag if you want to talk about them in the comments. The rest of her visions are things that might have happened had her baby Rhaego lived, or things that we've already seen on the show, like the liberation of her army in Yunkai. The whole prophecy is a collection of like 17 different passages that deal with stuff from book 1 to potentially the end of the series, so if you want to read the whole thing, be careful for potential spoilers. But the whole thing is in book 2 from pages 515 to 516, and it's like the whole epic House of the Undying visions. And finally, my number 1 favorite prophecy, the dragon has 3 heads. A lot of people refer to this as the 3 heads of the dragon, as if they're 3 different characters. One of the rooms Daenerys sees her visions in the House of the Undying is of Rhaegar and Elia of Dorne with a newborn baby Aegon, the one the mountain is supposed to have killed. So the interesting thing about Rhaegar's children is that Master Aemon up at the wall said that Rhaegar believed his children were the fulfillment of the Azor Ahai prophecy, so the 3 heads of the dragon and Azor Ahai are really just 2 parts of the same prophecy. In Daenerys' vision, Elia asks Rhaegar to play a song, and he says, "This is the prince who was promised, and his is a song of ice and fire." Then he turned up, looked at Daenerys, and said, "There must be one more. The dragon has 3 heads." So you have to remember that Rhaegar was naming his children after Aegon the Conqueror and his 2 sisters, but obviously they only had 2, and they were both believed to be killed by the mountain, so he was intending to have one more baby girl. That doesn't necessarily mean that Rhaegar's children were the 3 heads of the dragon. George R. R. Martin has stated that the 3 heads of the dragon need not all be Targaryens. But, really big asterisk, a lot of people, including myself, think that Martin is just being a little bit clever when he says something like that. Meaning that there could be characters alive on the show that belong to other houses right now that do not know that they are Targaryens. If anything's clear on Game of Thrones, is that even highborn people sleep around. Just look at Cersei. Jon Snow is the most famous theorized Targaryen, but I have my theory about who I think the other one is. I don't want to say who in the video, but if you want to comment on who you think it is, just use the spoiler tag in the comments below. In my opinion, it's one of the most popular things to theory craft in the fandom, so it's a ton of fun. So I'll be posting my episode 9 review tonight after the episode airs. Be sure to subscribe to get it. I'm usually pretty good at getting those videos up by about 10 p.m. Pacific time, but because YouTube has been super buggy lately, if you're worried about missing it, you can either follow me on social, there are links to that in the description below, or you can just park it on the subscription page or sign up for alerts. So right now, click here to get that episode 9 video, the annotation as soon as I post it, and click here for Monday's Q&A. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight. High fives.